In today's episode of Children of Heroes, we traveled about 5 hours west from London to St Agnes in Cornwall, where we interviewed Mrs. Anna Mary Parris, daughter of Flight Lieutenant Stanislav Kodýtek.
Thank you for participating in our project Children of Heroes. Your father was in the Royal Air Force during the Second World War, but before the war he wanted to study architecture in Czechoslovakia.
Yes, that's true. I have since found out that I think he probably finished before he joined the Czech Air Force in 1938, I think I've got the picture from. He always said he had a wonderful life growing up until, obviously, the war broke out. He did a lot of canoeing and obviously camping as well. There are quite a few pictures of ladies, so... Oh, there's just more women when he's camping. That's not my mum. When he obviously joined in 1938, which makes me believe he did finish his architecture before he did this. My understanding, this was where pilots trained. I love that one.
He escaped in 1939. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, when he did escape, he went on the train, and I think he went to North Africa and ended up in the French Foreign Legion for a while. And they eventually got to France and they got a boat, and funnily enough, they arrived in Falmouth, which is just, 20 miles from here. And then he went up to Cheshire, where he started training with the RAF.
I think he was injured in France.
Yes, but I don't know how. All I know is that his leg was very badly injured doing something, and the French doctor wanted to amputate, and they said, no, you're not doing that. And amazingly, they used to wheel him in a wheelbarrow to the doctors to have it seen to, and it came out okay, and he never had any trouble with it. But he never actually told me how it happened.
What exactly was his role in the Royal Air Force?
He was a navigator.
And what were his strongest memories of the war?
I think probably his strongest memory is where Mum was brought up on a farm, and they'd killed a pig and the policeman turned up. So they sent my mother out to chat the policeman up, and they disposed of the pig quickly. And I think that's something he found amusing. And then they were at Tutbury Castle. He was stationed there for a short time, and they really enjoyed it there, and seeing all the scenery. And apparently my cousin fell in the river, and she's always told me he saved her. He got in the river, or else she wouldn't be here today, when she was about 4, I think, yeah. It's his logbook here as well, and it's from, day one, when he started, whenever he started it, to the day he retired. Yes, in March 1941 is when he first wrote in here, and it's all the way through the whole of the war, and then when he joined the English Air Force again in 1952, until the day he retired in 1963. And he was at Horsham St Faith's. Yeah, it is all there. What he was doing, I think they bombed Dresden and all sorts, which, yeah. He ended up on helicopters in the end.
Your parents met and married during the war in
Yes,
England? Yes,
they met in Cheshire at a dance, apparently, and they were married within 6 months. And this was my mother, and she was training as a nurse. Very pretty lady. They were married in style, where I was christened, and my grandparents had been married before that. I'm a cousin, so it was a lovely little small village in Cheshire.
After the war, they returned to Czechoslovakia?
Yes, in 1946, I think he went back, and he stayed until 1948. And he was partly still in the Czech Air Force. It's a bit blurred, that bit, but he worked probably for his father, I think, again on the factory once he'd left the Czech Air Force. He felt he couldn't stay there with his family, and he got out on a work visa and came to England. But the saddest thing is he never returned to his homeland.
Yeah. What did he do in England after he rejoined the Royal Air Force?
No, before, when he first came back in 1948, he joined a place called Woodmet, where they did quite bespoke kitchens and all sorts, and he was their chief designer. Mm-hmm. But in 1952 he went back into the Royal Air Force, and he served with them till 1963.
As a pilot? Or?
No, as a navigator. He was a navigator, yeah. When he went back in the Air Force, we spent 3 years in Northern Ireland, and then his next posting was to Malta, where we spent another 3 years, which were absolutely fantastic, because it was before the island was spoiled, really. It was, we had a lovely time there. Used to walk miles to get us to beaches because there were no roads. It was wonderful. I was about 3 or 4 when this was taken, and I've still got Teddy. He's still here with me. His mother was coming over in 1966, and my cousin was bringing her, and my cousin got meningitis, and by the time she'd recovered, sadly, Granny had died. He never saw her again. I can remember him getting quite frustrated. He would phone them, and then, of course, you forget a bit of the language, wouldn't you? You'd get a bit frustrated, but he always managed it in the end. Yeah, so that was nice. But no, he never saw her again, which I think is very sad. All his family, really.
He retired in
1963.
1963.
Yeah.
And after retiring, your parents decided to buy a farm.
Yes. Which I'm very glad about, but I think they found it very hard work. But yes, they bought this farm. Yes.
Do you know why?
Not really. I think he always wanted a bit of land. Mum came from farming background anyway, so they bought this, and they bought the dairy herd lock, stock and barrel as well. So the only thing was there was a bull here, and he refused to buy that. He said, no, we'll stick to the cows.
Your mother came from this region?
No, she came from Cheshire. Yes, so why Cornwall, I don't know, really. But he'd been stationed during the war in Newquay. Whether that had any influence on him, I don't know. But yes, so they came down here.
You decided to dedicate your life to farming too?
Well, when we got married in 1970, we lived in Porthtowan, and I was working with the health service until they had the children. And then Mum and Dad decided they were selling, and it was all because of a pony. They'd rescued a pony for the children, and we thought, well, we've got to have land somewhere to put this pony on, so we bought the farm off them, and they had our bungalow.
What do you like about this lifestyle?
Oh, all the animals. Yeah. I love chickens, and Dad was the same. We shared it. It was lovely, really, because unfortunately we bought it back in '82, and my mother died in '84, so he'd lost her early. And we managed to get planning permission on the barn up there, and he moved back in. And then between us, we had geese, which nobody else could stand, and we loved them. And then they had 13 babies one year. Frightened everyone to death, but it was nice. Yeah, so that's what we did. And then, of course, the girls had their ponies. It's a lovely lifestyle for the children as well. It's freedom. Well, they're actually my granddaughters, but they're obviously little goats and very friendly. They come out and go for walks with them. This is Marigold, that's Koza, and that's Chestnut. And they're about 15 months old now. Very friendly. Always itching, aren't you, eh?
You are a passionate traveler. What are your favorite places?
Oh, crikey. Patagonia, I think. We went there, it was pre-COVID now, and it was wonderful. We spent 5 weeks there and really, really enjoyed it. We just drove from Buenos Aires, well, we flew down to Trelew, then we drove all the way around to the bottom and up and across again for 5 weeks, and it was wonderful. Lovely people. Really, really enjoyed that one.
Do you have any other plans for travelling?
I'm sure we will, yes. We've done quite a bit, really, since Mike retired, which was nice. We did Alaska, which I'd always wanted to go for some strange reason. Because of school, I think we did about the Eskimos at the time, and it was something that just stayed with me. So we'd done Alaska a couple of years before Patagonia, yeah.
Do you think your father's Czech heritage had a strong influence on your life?
Very much so. Very proud of what he did and thought what a terrible struggle he had. I think after the Berlin Wall went down, an old friend got in touch with him, but it was very sad to hear the life he'd had to lead up until then. And it makes you very grateful for where you're born and what you've got yourself. So yes, it definitely had a tremendous influence, I think.